Hello everybody, welcome back to JBS. Now some of you might be thinking, whoa, what's going on? Haven't we already finished JBS this term? And you would be correct. We've looked at everything so far in a mixture of being face-to-face, in person, here in the JBS room, and a little bit online as well, because of all the recent crisis going on worldwide. But in uploading some of the later ones, I thought that it might be a good idea to record the whole series and put them all up on YouTube, so that if you ever want to have a look back at kind of the content that we looked at during this term, then it's all just there and available for you. So now we're going to go a little bit further back, and we're going to start from scratch, and we're going to look at the 6 kingdoms that led up to the proclaimed kingdom, which is where we started the online stuff. And so we're kicking it right off with the very first kingdom, which is called the pattern of the kingdom. But before we talk about that, I should probably give you a little bit of a rundown about what's going on here. So when I'm talking about the kingdoms, what I'm referring to is a very specific kind of way of looking about biblical theology. So theology is the combination of 2 words, theos, God, and ology, which is study of. So it literally means the study of God. And so there are 3 different kinds of theology. One is historic, which is what did people in 1st century BC AD, think of Jesus. It's thinking, what are the theological beliefs from a certain time period. The second is systematic theology. Systematic theology is looking at what does the whole Bible say about one topic. And so you get a theology of marriage, or a theology of sin, or a theology of salvation, and you can see that at different points along the story. What we're looking at here is a different kind of theology called biblical theology. And what biblical theology thinks is that the whole Bible is just one overarching story. And so the kingdoms is a way of breaking up that story into different chunks and seeing how God is at work, how he is relating to humanity as a whole, and very specific people within humanity. And then how is he showing that he is in charge, that he is still, the word is sovereign that we use, which is that he is all-powerful and he is in perfect control of the world. And so we're going to start off right at the very first kingdom, which means it'll be right at the beginning of the Bible. It's in Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 2. And so we call this one the pattern of the kingdom because it establishes what the other kingdoms look like. And what they look like is a very simple mnemonic kind of way of remembering it, which is it's God's people in God's place and under God's rule. And so in this very first kingdom, have a little pause in this video, have a read through of Genesis 1 and 2, and think, who is God's people? Where is God's people? And how are they under his rule? So just have a little pause of the video, have a read through, and then play it again, and we'll go through it together. So did you get them all? Well, having a look from Genesis 1 and 2, we can see that we have this idea of the beginning, right? In the beginning, before anything else, there was God, and that God created everything. And this things that God created is referred to as the creation. And we're told here that it is good. And within this creation, there is something different, something special, something personal to God. And we see that that is in the creation of man and woman. And they are special because they are made in his image. And this is one of the things that distinguishes them from every other part of creation. And so we see right off the bat, humanity is something special. It's something that God wants to get alongside, to support, to be with. And we see this through this man and woman, who are named Adam and Eve. That's their names, and they are in this place called the Garden of Eden. That's God's place. So Adam and Eve, God's people, in God's place, the Garden of Eden. And so they have this very special kind of relationship. It's unlike any other relationship God has with any of his creation. And we hear about it in chapter 2, and it says that God walked with them in the cool of the garden. This is a very personal relationship. They are in the presence of God in a very physical, real way. not in the same way that we are in the presence of God today. Even though we are, theirs is a little bit different. We see that in this kingdom, it is good. And while they're in the garden, they are full of blessing. God has blessed them, and they are enjoying this blessing. They're able to eat from any tree in the garden that they would like. They are able to enjoy all of the animals. They're able to enjoy their relationship with God. But there is one command, and this one command is the foundation of everything. It's the foundation of God's relationship with them. And it's a command to not eat from the tree, from one particular tree, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And essentially what happened, well, we'll see what happens with that in the perished kingdom. But the reason why this is so important is because it is a relationship that is built upon trust and obedience, right? Adam and Eve live in God's place, under God's rule. They experience all of these blessings because they have faith and obedience to God. And God can be trusted to give out these blessings, this way of life, this personal relationship that he has yields such great benefits for them, as long as they uphold their end of the bargain, which is to live according to God's commands, which here we are told are threefold. There is one in Genesis 1 to multiply, to fill the earth and subdue it, and then in Genesis 2 we also get, do not eat from the tree in the middle of the garden, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. This looks great, right? It looks like such a fantastic place to be in. You're in this garden. It's beautiful. There's lovely trees, lovely plants, food all over the place. The only condition is that you don't have to eat from one of the trees. Sounds great. Sounds fantastic. But it's not going to stay that way. And we'll have another look at that in the next time. But for now, have a good week.